This episode of Chat EDU is sponsored by the National Center for Next Generation Manufacturing, Liz. They are doing, in partnership with NAAIC, they're doing this big old AI summit, building the workforce through community colleges, February 19th through 20th in
Miami.
Beautiful Miami, right? Miami-Dade downtown, sponsored by Google.org. You can go to NAAIC to check it out. Liz, where are we?
We are at
CREC. There are 6 regional education service centers in the state of Connecticut. CREC is the big one.
Yes,
You're
the
familiar
mothership.
with them. Yeah.
I am familiar.
We are at CREC, and why normally we're in our lovely offices at EdAdvance. Why are we at CREC?
Because we are recording with our friends from the Computer Science Teachers Association.
This is the second time we've done this, and we're grateful to our pal John Tush and the whole crew at the Connecticut Computer Science Teachers Association. Yeah. It's really only for you all that we do this, honestly.
Yeah.
All righty. So we're just going to jump in. We're going to record a normal-ish, as if there's ever normal-ish with us, episode. And then we're going to do a little bit of conversation as well. And thank you again to the folks at CREC and to John and the team here. So let's get rolling. Liz.
Matt.
Rumor has it that we've discussed a lot of your childhood Christmas faves, right?
Yes.
I don't need to revisit, but
thank you.
I do believe I heard you say 2 episodes ago that you got lots of Legos at Christmas, and I sort of glanced by it because I was like, well, she's an older, mature woman. Maybe she just misspoke or had some kind of childhood reverie.
No, I got 3 new Lego sets.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
Say more. What were they?
I got a Christmas tree. I got the mini bonsai trees. And I got a peony flower.
Okay, I'm glad it came to you. Yeah, because
some sort of flower.
You are aging, and I thought maybe a little cognitive decline, but nonetheless,
no,
Lego set.
Lego sets. Last year I got Wicked. I got the Oz.
Cells divide with us. All right, so listen, big stuff in Lego world, the biggest development since 1978.
1978 is when minifigures came out.
Yes, Liz said to me before that these are minifigs, and I was like...
No, minifigs.
Minifigs.
Yes.
Yeah, obviously I was not a Lego kid. All right, so it turns out, this is from The Verge, Lego announces the smart brick, the most significant evolution in 50 years. Lego unveiled the groundbreaking smart brick at CES. It's a big tech conference that's going on right now in Las Vegas, full of robots, AI robots. So this is a computer-packed 2x4 brick with sensors, lights. It's got Bluetooth mesh networking, NFC capabilities. It enables interactive play, lightsaber battles, all sorts of stuff. You watched the little video. What'd you think?
Yeah.
Ooh, underwhelmed.
Underwhelmed, I'd say. Yes. But I mean, it's a brick, which is 2 dots by 4 dots, and you can put it on, but there's also a sensor brick, and there's also a minifigure that's enabled that it'll just kind of make noises. So as you're flying a plane around, it'll make the zzzz noises. But I think that's what kids love, is making those noises.
You have been advocating for a while, as we've talked about AI toys, that let's drop the AI from the toys and really let just kids be kids.
Yes.
Right. So the child in you is not down on the
smart brick?
Yeah.
I just don't think it's necessary.
Okay. Well, listen, let's stick with one other toy theme.
Okay.
I'm obviously having a hard time letting go of Hanukkah and Christmas. So we have covered the fact that there have been folks trying to put AI in toys, and it hasn't been going well, right?
No, there's been some real missteps there, and I think I'm not the only one that's a little hesitant about putting AI in toys.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw, there's a little AI teddy bear called the Kuma, and it was telling kids where to go find matches and alcohol in the house. And so they pulled that from the market. And so quite wisely, Senator Padilla in California introduced SB 867, which is different than I think U.S. Senator, nonetheless. So they're basically banning chatbots on toys in California.
For 4 years.
For 4 years. It's interesting, too, because if you follow the whole AI federal state legislation, there's been a significant effort to try to create a federal standard. But in this one, I think we can all get behind California's efforts.
Absolutely.
All right. So no AI toys and no fancy smart brick Lego for you.
No.
So with that, I am not Dr. Director Matt Mervis.
And I am Dr. Liz Rade.
And this is Chat EDU, the show all about AI and education. In today's episode, Can We Teach AI Without Teaching Computer Science? We'll look at this increasingly hot topic through an opinion piece by the godfather of AI, Geoffrey Hinton, among others.
But first, we'll hit another busy rundown of stories from the past week-ish. And of course, we'll end with another great Bright Bite.
Fantastic. So, Liz, several weeks ago, we covered a story about how Ohio was going to require all school districts to have an AI policy by, I think, the end of this academic year.
Yes, by
right?
2026.
Which is interesting because, I don't know, we've got an audience here. How many of you, your school districts currently have like a board-approved AI policy? All right, so it's about half the room, or some of you are in different kinds of roles. And so Ohio wanted to make sure, like some of the places I work around the country, very few, in fact, right? Ohio wanted to make sure that they were going to be that, kind of everybody was going to have an AI policy. And so they developed a model policy. And you and I thought that was both interesting and also, potentially kind of curious, because some folks might just go copy and paste and not necessarily like get invested deeply in the conversation. But tell us about it. So what is the new Ohio model policy?
Yeah, so the model policy was informed by its AI in Education Coalition and the 2024 AI Toolkit co-developed with AI EDU. So here's some of the things they need to address: ethical AI use, data privacy, staff use and student use, teacher-specific applications, those third-party tools, and the actual learning impact that AI is having. So the policy aims to ensure that AI is integrated responsibly and effectively across K-12 education in Ohio.
We will put the model policy in the show notes so folks can take a look. It's actually quite comprehensive, and it's just handy for those of you who are doing this kind of work. One thing I really thought was quite effective there is that they had a specific, pretty detailed section for what folks will call NCII. Do you know what that is?
I do. Unfortunately, it's been coming up a lot, and that is non-consensual intimate imagery.
Right. So these are deep fakes, but often like kind of hyper-sexualized or, inappropriate images that kids can make of other kids or kids can make of adults. Or, there's been a case here in Connecticut where an adult made a deep fake NCII of another adult in a school district as a bullying kind of thing.
Wow. That's
not good news.
No, but that's such the reason why schools need policy. They have to, this NCII stuff is awful and not going away, and schools just have to have it. There's a great model policy from the Center for Democracy and Technology. I actually did read through that today. There's a great infographic there, even if you just want to, that you could actually use to teach students about this, because policy is one thing, but students need to understand this is not just something that'll stay within the school and be disciplinary in school. Like, it could go to law enforcement. So it's important that kids understand what this is, what not to do, what happens if it does happen. So that we'll link to that policy as well.
Yeah, so it's interesting because there is actually federal law. This is a good opportunity for folks across the globe to, pass both regional and state laws, right? And for school districts specifically to have school district policy around these types of deepfake images as well. We often joke, because we're snarky, that this is a special time in America, at least, where all the branches of government are working so effectively together, a lot of cooperation and bipartisanship. So one of the unique pieces of federal legislation in this particular chapter of U.S. political history is the Take It Down Act, which is a federal, and this was championed by Melania Trump and Amy Klobuchar, right?
Right. Not normal pals.
Now, sadly, this is in the news a lot, right? Not just in schools, but it's in the news a lot publicly, mostly because of Grok, right? Because of the Twitter X Grok Elon Musk AI system. So what's going on there?
Well, unfortunately, there's been a wave of Grok AI fake images of women and girls that is being called appalling, and I would agree, said the UK minister. So the UK Tech Secretary Liz Kendall condemned Grok AI for generating sexualized deepfake images of women and children and called it appalling. The chatbot, which comes from Elon Musk's X platform, really allows users to undress people digitally, including children. The government isn't really responding as quickly as people would want. There's a lot of pressure mounting in the UK and around the world to strengthen, online safety acts and ban notification tools. So, there are now people that we are calling survivors because they have been notified and shared around.
Yeah, appropriately. It's interesting. There have been third-party websites that like a teenager will go to and upload a picture of a one of their classmates on, they'll take from Instagram. They go to this website and they pay a couple bucks and it's hosted somewhere in Bulgaria or whatever. And that was what it required to, take an image of a kid and turn it into like an inappropriate image. But you can basically do this in stream on the platform right now. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So hopefully, there will be some serious pressure and we'll see a little bit of progress cleaning this up because it's disturbing. It is, you're right, appalling, and it is a mess. Now because we also want to balance a little bit of like, oh gosh, this is tough with some positive news. Now, last week we covered a story about high school AI literacy in California, trying to figure out how to manage deepfakes. Kids are learning and studying AI deepfake videos. Now, of course, the Finns have to up California, right?
Because Finland's the best.
You have a thing for Finland, don't you?
I love Finland.
All right, so tell us about this. Finland's like, oh yeah, California, you're going to teach AI literacy to high school kids, seniors? How about we just start with kindergartners?
Preschool.
Tell us about it.
Yeah. So Finland's battle against fake news starts in preschool classrooms. So they are, fighting disinformation with media literacy, which is integrated into the national curriculum starting at age 3. So preschoolers learn to analyze media and spot disinformation. Elementary school students are engaging in activities like fact versus fiction exercises and checklists to assess online news and identify AI-generated content. And so teachers are explicitly teaching AI literacy, including recognizing manipulated images and preparing students for future threats from even more convincing fakes and agentic AI, because it is just getting easier and the images are getting better and better. We've been teaching the micro-credential for over a year now, and when we first had people making images, we were like, oh, they're terrible. And now we're like, ooh, they're really good.
Sure.
So in Finland, like media literacy is just society-wide. Adults receive training too. There's a national program called Newspaper Week, and there's a media literacy program for 15-year-olds that reinforces the effort. So, Finland's just great, but they rank at the top of the European Media Literacy Index.
Just feel the smugness coming off this table right now.
I love Finland.
When's the last time you were in Finland?
Actually, 10 years ago yesterday, I landed in Finland for my Fulbright.
Yeah, I'd say every 3 months, Liz turns to me and goes, I might apply for a new Fulbright in Finland. Not quite with that accent, but, it's like a threat. Although
it's not really a threat.
Sad.
I'm sending an email tomorrow.
All right. Let's stick on the social media stuff. I could not help myself a little bit. We don't always go quite this deep. But Adam Mosseri, by the way, that Finland piece is from ABC News, Associated Press. We will put that in the show notes. And you can email Liz anytime at chatedu@edadvance.org, and she will just opine at great length about Finland. In fact, make it a Zoom meeting. She'll show you pictures.
So good.
I'm just jealous. All right. So now, Adam Mosseri, he is the CEO of Instagram. He's thinking a little bit about X and these images and synthetic content, synthetic media, deep fakes. So this is so interesting. This is on, the title is Authenticity After Abundance, CEO Adam Mosseri on Threads. So Adam Mosseri, I'm basically going to paraphrase this, goes on Threads, right, and says, Threads is like, the Twitter killer of Instagram, I guess, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. He goes on Threads and says, you know what, folks? We got a problem on social media. There's too much synthetic content. There's too much AI content, because what we're all noticing collectively in our lives is that, no pun intended, we are losing the thread. I look at a social media feed and like, is it real? Is it synthetic? I don't know. I get kind of annoyed. You and I were talking about this last week in terms of like the overload of even the nano banana infographics that we see on things like LinkedIn. And he's noticing that the user, I bet you they have metrics that are showing that their numbers are down, because people are just turned off by slop. It's why Merriam-Webster made it the word of the year.
Yeah.
And so he's saying, boy, we got to really he makes these calls to action. So Mosseri calls for platforms changes, including improved AI labeling, cryptographic media authentication, and transparency about who's posting. Okay? Now, this is from Instagram. If you've paid close attention, Instagram has been flooding their very own platform with all sorts of AI stuff, right? They've been optimizing for AI content. So as soon as he realizes that, like, oh, I don't think the users are into this, now it's like a platform to say, the next generation of Instagram is going to be about rough edges and authenticity. Okay. But 2 weeks later, we didn't run this story, and then I got all hot and bothered, as you can tell, and I dropped it back into the feed. This is from Australia, another place you would love to go.
Yes.
How a teenager was duped by an AI bot on Instagram. So just so I can breathe, tell us about this one.
All right. So the story is from Australia, but the girl was in Texas.
Correct.
So there was a 19-year-old from Texas, and she went viral after discovering that a seemingly supportive Instagram follower she had chatted with was actually an AI-generated account. So her realization came after another user commented that the account wasn't real, and that comment later disappeared, but Meta acknowledged in January 2025 that AI-generated characters are increasingly populating the platform, aiming to boost engagement among younger users.
And older users, you may recall a story about Reuters covered this whole profile. Meta had put like an AI character named Big Sis Billy, and an older gentleman fell in love with Big Sis Billy, and he had
with that kind of name, how could you not?
You wouldn't fall in love with Big Sis Billy?
I mean.
All right, so he falls in love with Big Sis Billy, and Big Sis Billy is pretending to be a real person, essentially says to the guy, come meet me in New York City, right? And he was an older gentleman, he had some mobility issues, got lost, and he fell, and tragically he passed away. And, there's another one of these places where Meta was not really held accountable. So look, it's not the first time that we have wanted to point out some of the limitations of social media platforms. But I thought it was just really interesting that Messeri is sitting here going, we need authenticity in Instagram.
After they've just done all this stuff.
Now, because we always want a little sunshine, I do want to say again, it's been really neat. So our agency, EdAdvance, has a curriculum called the Social Balance.
Yep.
It's designed to help build awareness and understanding and agency around these things. This is a OER-ish program. We're giving it away, so folks are welcome to come take advantage of that. And our colleague Cam Audia, who many folks know from lots of different roles because we're a small team, Cam was the primary author behind the curriculum. So if folks who are connecting with her, you come join us. The links are in the show notes. We'll connect you with Cam. So some folks have been really enjoying, I'm jumping on the Social Balance. So who have these been so far?
So we're giving shout outs to Leslie McClinsky from Wyoming and Perry Hooker from New Jersey.
Oh, and also our good friend Darren Vigliotti, who is a friend of the pod and also has been on the pod.
Yeah.
Great episode. Go back and listen to it a million episodes ago. Is going to be piloting that in his work as well. All right, Liz, let's look at two sides of a story that we've covered quite a bit here, which is around these kind of like AI's usage for therapy and also sycophancy, right? Some challenges there. But we're also seeing the first of its kind studies showing that AI therapy can, under certain constraints and controls, be pretty effective when addressing things like depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
So give us two sides of a coin, as you do so well. No one does two sides of a coin like you. It must be your Finnish background.
I have no Finnish in me.
Really? I can't tell by looking at you.
I look very Finnish to you?
Very Finnish.
Very Finnish. Okay, so let's see. We'll do the first side is sycophantic AI decreases pro-social intentions and promotes dependence. Well, you were going to say something snarky.
No, we'll be here all night if I keep talking.
Okay, so this peer review study finds that leading AI models affirm users' actions 50% more than if they were having those interactions with humans.
So what does that look like? I want to manufacture edible lamps, I might say to ChatGPT.
Great idea. That is, let me help you ideate around how you could manufacture edible lamps.
Yeah, because it's a bold and intriguing business idea.
Yes, that is one of the examples we use often in our training. They say it would spark ingenuity.
Yes, which I believe is gaslighting. If someone's trying edible lamp, can you imagine it? Yeah.
It also said the same thing if you for legs of an edible stool.
Right.
Like that. If you ate the legs of a stool, it wouldn't be a stool anymore.
These are objectively bad ideas, but AI sycophancy will say, hey, that's neat.
Right. Let's talk through it.
Yeah, I was with the leadership team today, and we were just noticing that anything you put in there, it's like, it could be kind of dry, like, hey, I'd like to do some AP test score analysis in Notebook LM. It's like, ooh, test score analysis. What a brilliant idea. Who would have thought a school administrator would want to do test score analysis?
I know. I sort of love that, though. It always makes me feel good. I'm like, AI said I was so smart.
And herein lies the problem.
I know.
All right. So in this study, the problem though, okay, so it's one thing to feel better, but let me just pull in here on the study. So the problem is that it tends to agree with you even if the information is wrong, right?
Right.
Which I guess would be true of the edible lamps and edible stool eggs, right?
But that is the problem, is that it's, it's giving this like real-time advice, and it's like saying that the user is right. So if you're asking it about, repairing relationships, it'll not, and you say, but I don't want to repair the relationship. It'll say, okay, great. Like, don't try. It's fine that you're,
and that was one of the examples from the study, right?
Right.
A lot of where people are having interpersonal conflicts. I'm having a problem with a friend, or I'm having a problem with a spouse. And you might very well be in the wrong in that scenario. Like, here's all the information. There's a problem that's going on. And we'll go, you're okay. Even though, so it's reinforcing something that's really not accurate, and also isolating for that individual.
Yes.
All right. So now on the flip side of the coin, right, at the same time we have, the use of AI. We covered, I think, almost a year ago, a study from Harvard Business Review, which was this kind of neat, informal study that showed how much people were starting to turn to AI for dealing with issues of agency or personal therapy and all that good stuff, quote unquote good stuff. And we have a first of its kind study demonstrating that there is actually efficacy here, yeah?
Yeah. So this is the first trial of generative AI therapy shows it might help with depression. And this is from MIT Technology Review by James O'Donnell. And so in this first of its kind trial, Therabot, which is a generative AI tool built by Dartmouth Research and trained on evidence-based therapy practices, was found to be as effective as human therapy for depression. There was a 51% symptom reduction, 31% reduction in symptoms for anxiety, and 19% reduction in eating disorder risk. So to be clear that this was not a commercial bot, it was trained on custom-built, clinically sound data, not just internet chatter or therapy transcripts filled with all these cliches, and it showed unusually high engagement levels. The trial was really tightly supervised, though. That's so key here. The lead researcher was personally monitoring the messages. So that does raise concerns about scalability, because most of the AI therapy bots on the market are not clinically grounded. They're not being overseen by someone with practice, and they don't necessarily meet FDA regulatory standards. Without formal integration into healthcare systems, it might be out of reach for people, which means that they may turn to bots that are not trained to be therapeutic, like just using ChatGPT out of the box or Gemini, or possibly even worse, character AI for emotional support, despite their risks and lack of safeguards. This was so interesting because, there's the key to this is that it is being monitored so closely. And so, we did a story a couple of months ago about how, therapists have to go through lots of training and have to have certifications to become therapists.
And can be held accountable if they screw up.
Yes.
Yep.
And where a chatbot doesn't have any of this. And this is kind of almost a middle ground, but I don't know. It's great news for people that can access it and if it's being overseen.
Right. And as you've pointed out many times, the sort of one of the problems with therapy, right, is the constraint of access.
Yes.
We've both tried to get support for our kids.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
There's just not enough therapists to go around for the needs of especially the younger children.
Now, I don't want to be lighthearted about this, but if for some reason you don't get the new Fulbright Award in Finland, do you think you may turn to a chatbot, a little ChatGPT therapy, or?
No, I will whine at you incessantly.
Perfect answer. All right, Liz, this is theoretically a podcast about AI and education, and we've been sort of like peripherally around the education side here today, but let's actually do an education story before we do our Beneath the Surface. This was really interesting. You and I have covered a couple times the whole idea of oral presentations in the classroom, oral assessments, different ways that kids will demonstrate knowledge and skill, because in a world where AI can basically do the writing
right.
Pretty effectively outside of class, oral presentations is a really interesting go-to for kids to demonstrate they understand the content from class. But we've pointed out that it's not simple, it's hard to scale. But a professor at NYU said, I have an idea.
Yes.
And he used 11 Labs, which we love. I don't know if you guys have ever played around with 11 Labs, but the voice agents, in general, like the ability to build these real-time agents, or they're really not agents, I don't know what we call them, these real-time interactive bots, but they're voice controlled, or even voice and video. I've been vibe coding up a whole bunch of voice and video. Don't give me that look. Vibe coding video and audio tools where I just say, hey, build me a Future Farmers of America judge app. And Google just vibe codes it up, and then it will look at the kid, look at me. It'll say, hey, show me your poster, and we'll give you feedback on the poster.
Really?
It doesn't actually work, and it's really funny. This requires the camera at some degree. So it's really good. I should just load it up here. I've got this thing here called FFA Virtual Judge. Andre, I'll give you a screenshot for it. And it basically now, I don't know, you can't quite see, there's nothing on screen here, but it's looking at me and it's going to ask me something. So hang on. Hey, how's it going?
Well, good evening. Welcome to the FFA Virtual Judge Practice. What's your name and what's the title of your project? I don't see your display board yet, so just let me know when you're ready to show me your work.
All right, so you guys can't see this, but basically, I went to Google AI Studio and I said, hey, build me a judge app that uses the camera and the microphone so kids can practice their FFA projects, right? So right now I'm looking at myself, scary as that may be. I muted the microphone so that we could talk about it while it's not listening. And it's interesting because it knows to ask me my name and my project, and it wants to see my poster board because it's expecting to see that. That was in the instructions, which are really complicated, by the way. I said, build an FFA judge app that helps prepare the kids and gives them feedback on their poster. That's all I said. 32 and a half seconds later, that half second was critical. This thing shows up in AI Studio. All right, so hang on. Hi, my name is Matt, and my project is called Rotational Crop Management Through Geospatial Awareness. Oh, and I'm sorry, you wanted to see my poster board. So just 1 second. You're right, you don't see it behind me. Hang on, let me get it out here.
No problem. Take your time. I'm eager to learn about your project and see your work.
Okay, can you see my poster now?
Yes, I can see your poster now. Rotational crop management through geospatial awareness. That's an interesting topic. Can you give me a brief overview of your project and how it relates to the agriculture field?
I'd love to if I understood anything about what I'm talking about. Now, what these guys are chuckling about is that I am holding up, for the audio listener who's in their car, I'm holding up well, here, you describe it. What am I doing to show my poster right now?
Yeah, you're holding your hands apart like there's something there, but there's nothing. You're holding up nothing.
Yeah, but my FFA judge app thinks it's an awesome poster, one of the best that they've seen yet.
Brilliant.
All right, so I mean, vibe coding's half the way there, right?
Yeah.
Come to that conclusion. But what's interesting about this is that had it worked perfectly, and actually it's funny because I could have gone back into the instructions and said, hey, make sure that you can really see the poster and give critical feedback around it. But it's more fun when I'm demoing this to do that because it's just hysterical. And I'm really just in it for the laugh. So...
Aren't we both?
Yeah, pretty much. Now, what does this have to do with this NYU professor? So the ability to build a voice app whose job is to do oral assessments of kids when it's not messing up as my judge app did is not that hard. And actually, the 11 Labs voice apps, I've built a bunch of them, are spot on. They wouldn't do this kind of shenanigans. So tell us about, don't you use that term in Finland a bunch? How do you say shenanigans in Finnish?
I don't know, but it would probably have a rolled R. Do you know they roll their R's in Finnish?
I'm aware. So this is NYU professor fights AI cheating with AI-powered oral exams that cost 42 cents per student. This is from the Decoder, January 4th.
Yeah, so this was pretty neat. This professor piloted an AI-conducted oral exam using voice agents and created a grading panel of judges from Claude, Gemini, and ChatGPT.
What do you think was the toughest of that panel?
I'm going to go with Claude.
Me too.
Yeah. At just 42 cents per student, the system proved drastically cheaper than human grading and exposed real understanding gaps that the students had. So,
in part because of the professor, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the students found the AI exam more stressful.
That's good.
Yes, because 70% said it better tested their knowledge. So this, is proof of concept. It's scalable, cost-effective way to bring oral exams, which were previously unfeasible for, you think of college classes where there's literally hundreds of students in a class, but it could bring it back to education.
Yeah, really neat. If folks are unaware of some of this 11 Lab stuff or vibe coding or really anything, feel free to just email us at chatedu@edadvance.org. We're happy to point you in the direction of any of that stuff or demo what we've been working on. We've got a lot of emails lately. Oh, I can't believe I forgot. Liz, it's almost our 100th episode.
Yes, it is.
How'd you let me forget that?
I don't know. It's literally right at the top of the doc,
I
like
know.
in red.
Well, hopefully folks are still listening. So in addition to emailing us any questions about vibe coding or the 11 Labs voice agents, as Professor, we'll just call him, Panos did.
Or about Finland.
You can also send us an email as John Tush did. Round of applause for John Tush. Saying anything. I haven't listened to what you said yet. It might have been really caustic. I mean, who knows? But yeah, if you want to send us any reflection that you have about the coming 100th episode, a thought, a reflection, a kind word, a question for Liz, anything at all, please email us, or you can go to skills21.org/chatedu100.
Yes.
Yeah.
CHATEDU100.
You've been worried lately about whether people can spell ChatEDU, huh?
No, I just want people to know that it's the number 100, not the word 100.
Excellent. Okay, now, do you think of me as a fibber?
A fibber?
Yeah. Prone to fib?
I don't know.
Last week I fibbed.
Oh, I'm not surprised, actually.
Exactly. That's different from your first answer. So, last week I said this is the last time that I will now cut to the announcement of us talking about the winter micro-credential, but you pointed out to me that I was not really managing my calendar literacy very well.
True. This episode drops on Friday, right before the course starts on Monday, January 19th.
And Liz, have we had people sign up for the micro-credential even after it started?
They have. We let them sneak in there.
Because Liz is such a softie for grading and all sorts of stuff. Not even grading, assessment, feedback, coaching, and warmth.
Yes.
All the good stuff. Yeah. So here we go. Matt talking about the Winter AI Micro-Credential. If you enjoy our insights on AI and education, don't miss out on our next 6-week AI and Education Micro-Credential launching this winter in partnership with Southern Connecticut State University. This self-paced online course for educators and leaders in primary, secondary, and higher education across the globe covers AI essentials from foundational concepts to advanced skills like prompting, AI-driven assessments, and multimedia creation. We've added a bunch of new content for the winter cohort, including a focus on emerging risks like AI companions, energy, and the environment. We'll dive into the latest on Notebook LM, which could be a course unto itself. There are new student AI literacy resources in the Future Focus module, as well as important updates on student-facing tools like custom gems and guided learning in Gemini. And finally, we've added Google Vids to our great collection of multimedia AI tools that we cover. Each cohort includes 4 live Zoom sessions for hands-on support, and participants earn a Credly digital credential upon completion. Visit skills21.org/AI/micro to sign up now. All right, Liz, before we go beneath the surface, as we were just chatting with our lovely studio audience, you guys sound even better than last year. You just shared a fascinating little fact about oral defenses.
Yes. So while we were just telling the story about New York University and oral exams, in Finland, when you do your oral defense of your dissertation and you pass, you are given a sword.
What were you thinking doing it here? Where were you, like Philadelphia or something?
Philadelphia. You know what you get when
What'd you get?
A puffy hat.
A puffy hat.
You don't wear the square mortarboard anymore.
Well, when you go back and get your postdoc, what do you get for a postdoc? Like a cannon?
I don't know. I'm going to have to look into that.
All right, Liz. Now it's time to go beneath the surface because these good folks who are interested in computer science, finally, let's talk about computer science.
It's true.
Yeah, so this is an interesting time for computer science, right? And for students, right? I've got 2 kids in their 20s, and the Canaries in the Coal Mine study from Stanford basically pointed out that for kids in their 20s right now, between 22 and 25, since the launch of ChatGPT, the employment rate for students in computer science, careers that are exposed to AI. So computer science, call center folks, customer service, a little bit of like junior accounting and junior law, first rung of the labor market. We're seeing a lot of disruption.
Yes.
For sure. And so it's tough. Like we have all with great intent said to kids for decades now, go get a major in computer science. It is going to serve you well. Yeah. And, one of the things that these language models have just figured out how to do quite well is coding. Right? It gets better and better all the time. It's wound up being problematic or challenging. And then we also just have these questions about, well, what's the value of computer science instruction in a world where AI is becoming so dominant? I mean, it's a very thick, and these folks in the room have much more thoughtful takes on it than we do. So the first is that we are seeing, and these aren't computer science stories, we're seeing a number of universities either pass, like Purdue just passed their new AI literacy requirement.
Yep.
SUNY, I think, has one, right? So we're starting to see universities have like AI literacy requirements. We're also starting to see universities have like majors, right? So MIT, UC San Diego. So they're having majors in AI, but these aren't necessarily like CS majors. They're applied AI and maybe some CS. So tell us what's going on here.
Yeah, so AI is becoming one of the most popular college majors in the United States because of this surging demand from the students and from industry.
On the AI side, right? Which would be like either applied AI, machine learning. Okay, great.
Yeah. So like you said, MIT, UC San Diego, University of Southern Florida have launched dedicated AI programs. With MIT's AI and decision-making major is now its second largest major. I wonder what their first is. Probably some sort of engineering. Knitting, probably. So enrollment in traditional computer science programs is declining, partly due, like you said, to the job market concerns and the automation of entry-level coding. But AI programs are seeing growth, which shows the shift towards these more specialized computing degrees.
Yeah. Now, two other takes here, right? Because we have these luminaries in the field of AI and computer science. So if you look at the godfathers of AI, right? So these would be folks like the two that we'll feature here are Geoffrey Hinton, who is generally referred to as the godfather of AI, which I wonder, like, do you feel good about that? And there's this really neat woman named Fei-Fei Li, who they call the godmother of AI. Like, I don't know if they think they get together and like, hey, godfather, hi, godmother. So anyhow.
That's so interesting because I called Kelly Pelletier the godmother of Capstone in my book. I felt like it was a title of honor.
Have you talked to her about that?
Yes, and when she sent in her blurb, she signed it, Kelly Pelletier, godmother of Capstone.
I love it.
I think I called her fairy godmother, actually.
Wait, so does that mean that John Tush is the current godfather of the Connecticut Computer Science Teachers Association?
Sure.
I love it. And that means that Jackie Corcelli back there also has to be the godmother, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Love it.
Just handing out titles.
If I only had a sword. All right, so Geoffrey Hinton, the godfather of AI, says that computer science degrees remain valuable. This is from VN Express International. These three stories, by the way, are from December, but we knew that this cool meeting was coming with the Computer Science Teachers Association, so we had him on deck. So tell us about what Jeff Hinton has to say.
Yeah.
It's with a G, by the way.
Yes.
Important to know.
It is.
Not the godfather part, the Jeff part.
Jeffrey part, yes.
Okay, carry on.
Thanks. He says computer science degrees will retain their value even though AI is rising because CS is not just coding. And I think everyone in this room, I'm getting thumbs up, would agree, like CS and coding are not the same.
I've never seen so much universal head nodding. That was great. Yeah.
And raising of the roof. Mid-level programming jobs might decline as AI advances, but there's also so many new opportunities that are being made because of AI. So Hinton says, continue to emphasize coding as an intellectual pursuit and a foundational skill for the AI-driven future. So according to Geoffrey Hinton, do it. Go study computer science because it is not just coding.
Mostly. I mean, he's a fascinating guy to follow just because he's a recent Nobel laureate, by the way, both he and Demis Hassabis, the kind of current and former heads of Google's DeepMind. But he has, when he saw sort of ChatGPT evolve, he became convinced that these models were more sophisticated than we thought they were and could cause more harm. So he essentially left Google. I mean, I think he was of age to retire, but he left Google and has been waving the red flag pretty significantly. He does note in this piece that there could be pretty significant job loss, but he believes over time there will be new opportunities. And this has been true. We discussed this last week. We've been exploring the was it something in
Bresnahan-Trachtenberg framework.
Yeah, you're killing it. So the framework, though, says that, essentially for something to be a general purpose technology like steam, like electricity, like the automobile, there have to be a number of factors in place, right?
3 of them. Do you know them?
I do, by heart, actually.
All right, well, tell me them. Remind
Here we go.
us.
This is our test. So first, they have to be pervasive. They have to show up in all sorts of parts of the industry, the economy, civil society, and communities. Second, they have to get better and get cheaper all all the time, right? We see, if you look at the evolution of these language models, they are getting better and the cost of intelligence is getting cheaper. It's funny because you didn't think I had this down. I talked about it half the day today in a keynote. And number 3, they have to have knock-on effects in other industries. So yes, ChatGPT will be your therapist or tell you all about your edible stool or edible legs of a stool.
You can't say that. Maybe edible lamp is a better example.
But they not only do that bit, right, but they also wound up helping you, like even think about hallucinations in AI. Hallucination for us in a language model is a problem. But if you're developing proteins or you're trying to do drug compounds, the hallucination is actually super helpful because the AI is essentially being creative. So there are knock-on effects. It shows up in other parts of industry. There are spin-offs and the like. How'd I do?
Well, they would call that complementary innovation.
Oh, please.
You did very well. Impressive.
So the thing, though, is that in these waves of general-purpose technologies, there have always been significant periods of disruption where there is unemployment at a significant scale, but there winds up being more employment afterwards. What we don't know about this general-purpose technology because of its speed, its scale, its impact, and it's essentially doing not just manual stuff, it's doing cognition, it's doing intellect. We don't know whether or not we're going to see this kind of job rebounding. But I totally 100% digress. The second luminary here would be Yann LeCun. Now, Yann LeCun was the outgoing chief scientist, AI scientist at Meta, right? He is really like among the godfather figures. Yann LeCun started working on AI in, I don't know, the 70s or earlier. He is essentially responsible for a lot of the early thinking around convolutional networks, neural networks, all sorts of stuff, like serious heavy hitter. He is Meta. He's Mark Zuckerberg's AI chief scientist. Mark Zuckerberg spends $15 billion on this 26-year-old kid named Andrew Wang and becomes the new chief AI guy. And Yann LeCun basically walks. And on his way out the door in the last 2 weeks, he is talking smack about Facebook, about Instagram, about AI, about Alexander Wang. I mean, this is dishy stuff. ChatGPT could have a spin-off podcast called like As the World Turns at Instagram or Meta. Nonetheless, LeCun did this really interesting piece before all this smack talking in the end of December, where he essentially said, computer science, maybe, engineering. And by the way, his background is engineering, but he makes a case that there is not enough mathematics instruction in your traditional computer science degree, right? I'm looking for a read in the room, but he basically says like, you might get Calc 1, right? In CS
degree.
But what do you get if you're doing engineering?
A lot more than that.
Yeah. What else has he said? I don't mean to hog the Yann LeCun. I just get so excited about this story.
Well, he said prioritize all the foundational studies like math, physics, and engineering over like the kind of more trendy technologies, just studying AI or just studying coding, because he says like the minimal math exposure may leave graduates ill-equipped for rapid tech shifts. So he says long-lasting skills like calc, linear algebra, and control theory are essential for AI work. So he says coding remains important, but what you really need is the deep knowledge. So he says CS degrees have to evolve to prepare students for a future shaped by generative AI. And I'm thinking about the work I'm doing with teachers on quantum right now. Again, like quantum is going to become so important. It's already important and it's going to continue to evolve. And the teachers we have in the room there that we're training are all physics teachers and math teachers, because it's not necessarily, we opened it to CS teachers as well, but almost every teacher that we have is a physics or math teacher because the connection is so strong to both of those things.
Yann LeCun would approve.
I'm trying to become a Nobel laureate.
You have my first vote.
Oh, yes.
Fantastic. Let's do our quick bright bite, right? A bright bite is basically, actually, it's sort of in the spirit of what we've just been discussing. So a bright bite is a story we cover at the end of each and every podcast where we discuss an application of AI, usually machine learning, AI vision, classical, predictive AI, where AI is doing interesting stuff. Now, this week, it's actually a combination of AI vision, the ability of the systems to see, as well as language models, the ability of the systems to read, right?
Yes.
All right, tell us about it.
So this story is called A Multimodal Vision Language Model for Generalizable Annotation-Free Pathology Localization. say that a few times fast.
You don't say. I bet you get a sword for that one.
Yeah, probably. So scientists created this smart computer program called AFLOC, A-F-L-O-C, that can look at medical images, so these are things like x-rays, eye scans, and find signs of disease without needing help from doctors to point them out. And that's because usually programs need doctors to first label like thousands of images to learn from.
That's how they train, right? They label them.
Yes.
They label. Okay.
And like the doctors have to label each image to go into the system.
Okay.
But AFLOC teaches itself by reading image captions and matching them to what it sees.
So you have all these kind of pathology reports. It's got doctor's notes or it's got headers on the images.
Yes.
And so they don't need the expert labeling. They can say, okay, I got these notes. I got this scan. I'm going to use language and vision and put them together.
Correct.
Peanut butter and chocolate.
Oh, awesome. Love that combo.
Okay. So why is this important? Like, is this better or worse?
No, I mean, it's good because it saves money because hospitals normally have to pay doctors to label each of these images as they get trained on them and come in. So this skips that step. And it can be used on new medical programs and new medical problems in hospitals all over the world much more quickly. Smaller or rural hospitals will now have access to help spot these diseases early because they don't need as many specialists when they don't have a specialist like that. And then doctors can actually focus on the work of treating patients, and we don't need doctors to sit around labeling things. So, I mean, it's great all around. It seems like a good thing. So yay for AI and machine learning and vision and training.
All together. Yeah, really neat. It's funny because there are weeks where I'm like, oh, is there going to be a Bright Bite that feels unique or different than last week's Bright Bite? And they just do, right? I mean, there's so much activity in this space. And it's important that we're talking about Grok and nudification and some of this horrible stuff. But it is interesting that there's so little press on what I would generally kind of classify as these Bright Bite type stories.
Well, we sort of talked about that in an episode where because the LLM became the new shiny thing, like all these companies shifted funding towards it because everyone needed to get their LLM out when they could have kept money in the medical bucket or the, other innovation buckets. But they like all flocked to the LLM because that's where the attention was.
Well, you know what we'll do? We'll keep shining a bright bite.
A bright light?
Oh, yeah, that. All right, Liz, really fun episode. One more time, huge thanks to the team here at the Connecticut Computer Science Teachers Association. One last shout out. We're grateful. We can't wait to year 3. It is really fun to do this. Yeah. And I believe that means that it must 101% be time to
roll the credits.
Cool. All right, so
roll the credits. As always, we'd love to hear what you think. So please let us know at chatedu@edadvance.org. That's EdAdvance.org. And also rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you are using. Chat EDU is brought to you by EdAdvance, the nonprofit regional education service center in Litchfield, Connecticut. This episode of Chat EDU is sponsored by the National Center for Next Generation Manufacturing. Chat EDU is recorded, edited, and produced by Andre Angelo and Justin Pasco, whose dedication and expertise bring our discussions to life. Chat EDU's executive producer is the multi-talented rock star Cameron Audia. Additionally, we are grateful for the support of our colleague Gary Robinson, and we appreciate his time and talents. And of course, a big Chat EDU shout out to our fearless leader and executive director, Jonathan Costa, for inspiring the pod. And finally, a heartfelt thank you to our listeners for joining us on this journey exploring the thoughtful and innovative integration of AI in education.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Costa, and I am the executive director at EdAdvance, and I want you to know how much we appreciate our listeners. If you enjoy the podcast, feel free to explore EdAdvance's other AI services, which include customized professional learning of all kinds, conferences, our new middle and high school student AI literacy course, and our educator and leader micro-credential, co-sponsored by the Southern Connecticut State University Office of Workforce and Lifelong Learning. Just visit skills21.org/AI to learn more. That's all for now, and thank you for listening to Chat EDU.